Push back.
Ugly boy and any fucking white head.
That's all I like, eh? All I like is fucking money.
Hotel in Nevis, and we are looking at severe damage done to the roof and the dining room section. All the glass windows have been shattered, and there has been some damage to the Pinneys Beach club. Among those coconut palms are a lot of broken down ones. Personal production. Galvanized on the ground that came from the roofs of a few houses in the neighborhood. And we'll... I thought the ideas, man. Oh, I thought I was watching this at the house. What really I got straight to the Four Seasons Hotel. And we're looking at some damage done to the construction site. A lot of the materials have been blown away, and the little wooden shacks that were constructed to house some of the workers from abroad. Another section of the shelter. Behind that is the Lowland School, infant school, junior school. Crossing the street left to right, and severe damage done to the Catholic Church. Bay area. Wood, galvanized, a lot of materials, Michael King's home and the Todd's home, and we have severe damage. Down, just a few roofs. Trees lying across the street along electrical poles, completely destroyed by Hurricane Hugo. It is blown to pieces, and we have some members of the Fountain Village from the operation. Before this, we had another view from the other side. And strange enough, the galvanized on this mountain area with its roof completely destroyed. Many of the vehicles he had there doing repairs on. Westbury Fountain area, trying to repair some damage done to, because people have been handling them without any danger. And no doubt it's going to take a pretty long time for the electricity department to restore the electricity situation in Nevis. Here we have another situation where the house completely blown off. bits and pieces scattered all over the yard. Again, we have the situation where electrical wire. No doubt they're discussing the hurricane situation, and everybody will be chipping in here and there to give their little ideas about ways and means of improving the situation. And we're looking at the remains of trunks of trees that completely block the road, but some adjustments have been. The roof of Mr. Swanson's shed is completely gone. The roof of the Gingerland Primary School. Leave by Moon, a politician. At a strange situation here where a house is completely overturned and it's resting on the top of a car. The remains of Club Training. It was just about finished, and the pattern, like I said, continues throughout the whole island. The shed that used to cover the gasoline stations have been completely removed. Severe damage done to the wall of Grove Park, the fencing. A lot of blocks have been pushed away by the Hurricane Hugo. Temporarily galvanized sheetings to their roofs that have been removed. We see and we see one little wooden tenement completely overturned. Other persons are using the daycare center as their shelter. Those homeless persons, as a result of Hurricane Hugo. The pattern continues with electricity poles being blown down, and we see a lot of... we're presently driving through the cultural complex, and we're going to give you a close-up shot of the happenings. You can see that the stage has been completely removed. The stage that housed the bands and the MC and the producers of Culturama, and the Calypso Kings and Queens, contestants and onlookers. We can see the shell of one speaker box lying on the ground, which is a clear indication that instruments were here. We also see some scattered instruments. These instruments look like the instruments of the Magnets band. Those were backstage during the passage of the hurricane. We're looking again at damage done to the fruit trees and the roofs of neighboring houses. We're looking at the buildings in the Stony Grove area. They have been made homeless by the passage of this vicious hurricane. There has been some damage done to the roof of the pavilion, but nothing serious. The usual pattern continues. The roofs of many houses have been blown off, as you can see. Very large trees have been uprooted. Electricity poles are bending in one direction or the other. And galvanized branches of trees and other debris are scattered all over the place. We are just about reaching the entrance to Grove Park, and we are proceeding downtown. the newly constructed restaurant, Parkville, or supermarket, sorry, survived the hurricane and seems to be in good tack. The roof of Sisley house is damaged, and we also see damage done to the roof of the house that Surveyor Lawson occupies. Administration building seems to be intact, and a few houses in the neighborhood. But again, electrical poles have fallen down in the police station area, and electrical wires are hanging across the streets. We have some damage done to the very large breadfruit tree that covered the yard of Ducky's restaurant. We have anting. We have damage done to Felt's residence, damage done to his roof. And the noise you're hearing in the background is the noise of a generator that Daniel's Deck supermarket is using to keep some of its stuff frozen. We have a damaged windscreen of a car here, and from reports we were told that a large tree fell across it and broke its windscreen as a result of the passing of Hurricane Hugo. The streets are pretty clean right now, even though we can see some evidence of trees and dirt and old pans hanging around the street. This is due to the fact that the occupants of the Charlestown area have been doing some group cleaning together. The waterfront area is still very dirty, and we are heading towards that area right now. There's a lot of debris from the sea on the TDC building, but it is quite clear it's going to take a long while before the road is accessible to the TDC building. The sea is still raging. The waves are no higher than 5 feet now. Yesterday we were between 10 and 12 in town, Charlestown, and we are presently in the area of the Nevis Bank, the TDC Plaza, Solicitor Eugene Walvin's office, and Henville's furniture showroom, and the hardware department. We're also in the area of the Scantel, and it seems as if this area of Scantel is effective as far as communication is concerned. Most of the lines in the country area are out. We can see on our right the usual pattern continuing with electricity poles swaying, overhanging the road with wires, large branches of trees falling to the ground and making the road rather difficult for the road users. To my surprise, this two-story building right on the coastline survived the hurricane with minor damages. We're looking at a banana field completely destroyed here, and again the top of very large trees have been blown off by Hurricane Hugo. Has minor damage to it. And like we say, the roads are pretty clean right now because people from the Charlestown area did a lot of cleaning up to make the road accessible to the road users. Here we have a very large tamarind tree, completely uprooted in the Craddock Road base area. Hospital Road, you would realize that only one-way traffic is possible on these roads due to the overhanging of large trunks of trees in the street. And again, telephone wires, electricity wires, cable TV wires are hanging over the streets, making it very difficult for one to pass freely. On our left, we have a very large flamboyant tree. That tree is older than myself, and I'm 26. And that has been uprooted very easily by Hurricane Hugo. This is an indication of the force of the winds that accompanied Hurricane Hugo. On our left is the Resthaven Hotel. And it appears from the streets here that there has been severe damage done to the roofs of most of the rooms on this side of the hotel. We see galvanized scattered all over the Resthaven yard, and we can see right through the roof of some of the rooms. In the dining room area and kitchen, we can see that there has been severe damage as well. And we can see on our right the workers from Trinidad. They are sheltering in the Resthaven guest house. This is as a result of severe damage done to their homes that were temporarily constructed on the Jaltas project built inside the Four Seasons Hotel down at Pinneys. Seaspawn Hotel has survived the disaster, and there has been some damage to the Pinneys Beach Club, the roof of the Pinneys Beach Club, and some minor damage to the roof of the Pinneys Beach Hotel. This project, the project where the Four Seasons Hotel is under construction, and we're looking at galvanized, scattered all through the bushes. A lot of people had to evacuate these premises early, and the roof is completely destroyed on the infirmary. There is, in fact, some damage done to the roof of the main hospital building here, but we're now in safekeeping at a building at the top of Government Road. We're heading down Government Road, and the roof of Mr. Perkins' house is completely destroyed. This is one of the worst that I've seen throughout the entire island. The rafters are completely destroyed, they're broken up, and we also see on our far right the roof of another occupant of the Government Road area completely destroyed, living in these houses. We have the pattern continuing again, where electrical poles are leaning across the street, and large trees have been uprooted. Before this hurricane, it was impossible to see across the pasture, and right now you can stay in Government Road and see as far as the Bath Hotel. Prior to the hurricane, it was impossible due to the fact that the area was bushed with very large trees. The pattern again is usual here. We have a lady who seemed to have suffered a broken arm, and we hope that this injury was not caused by the hurricane. Further investigations will be made. The pattern of
Telephone poles falling on the roof of houses is common throughout the entire island, it seems. As we just passed one, coming down the government road, Eulalie Brazier seemed to have suffered a great loss here. Her roof from the drop shed and the middle section is again damaged. We have on our right a little wooden tenement completely blown down, and the roof of a fairly large concrete house damaged. We're now getting close to Elm's Fancy Store, and upstairs Elm's Fancy Store we have severe damage done to the roof of an apartment building upstairs. We have damage done to Roosevelt Daniels' residence. And again we see a lot of galvanized sheetings, which no doubt came from the roof of Island Tower Supply and neighboring houses scattered on the street of Charlestown. Electricity situation restored. We're now heading into Bath Village, and again Hurricane Hugo is leaving its, or has left its traces of destruction. Electricity poles have fallen down, wires hanging across the street, large trunks of trees blocking roads and little minor driveways. We have houses blown from one part to another. We also have roofs of Mr. Leibold's residence here. His roof has been blown off and placed to another side of the house. And we're looking at the evidence which is before us. It's clear to see that a wooden tenement has been blown flat to the ground right here on our right, and there has been severe destruction to other buildings, and large trees again have been uprooted. We have the villagers busy working, trying to clean up. Wooden building has been completely destroyed. Large trunks of trees blown off, and again the pattern continues where the roofs of many houses have been blown off. Here we have complete destruction of a wooden tenement. We see the stoves and the pots and other kitchen utensils scattered all over the place. Child's crib and bed and everything is all scattered. The place is in a total mess. Hurricane Hugo has really caused severe damage to most of the houses on Nevis. The few that have survived, they have a lot to thank God for. We're still in the Bath Village area, and we're looking at more destruction done by Hurricane Hugo. Here we have Mr. Glenn Herbert. It seems that he's going to evacuate the premises because his roof is completely blown off. I can see his car loaded with material from his house. his clothes, books. We're still in the Bart Village area, and we're looking at severe destruction done to wooden houses in this area. And like we keep on saying, the pattern throughout the whole island is basically the same. Large trees have been uprooted, roofs blown off of houses, and electrical poles and wires scattered all over the streets. Located at Zetland's Hotel in the St. George's area, and we're looking at extensive damage done to the hotel. Part of rooms have been completely blown down. Coconut palm trees lying on the ground, loose wires, kitchen and dining room utensils, partitions, glass broken, and most of the roof has been destroyed. Presently we're in the Old Manor area. We're looking at a very large tree being uprooted, and it's blocking the main entrance to the Old Manor Hotel. Here, damaged water pipe in an effort to restore the water situation. Pinneys Village area, and it's no different to the other parts of the island. We have roofs completely blown off of houses, telephone poles again lying across the street with electrical wires, fruit crops, large trees blown down, and the villagers busy working, trying to put things back to normal. As we proceed down Rollins Road, we're looking at the damage from a top view. And like we said earlier, the villagers are busy trying to clean up the mess that was made by Hurricane Hugo. People chopping away at big chunks of wood. And other people coming from the shop trying to get themselves some supplies. This they could not have done during the last 2 days. We have electricity poles completely uprooted, and these poles were 6 feet deep when they were originally planted, and they are completely uprooted. Some of them were broken off, but others have been uprooted completely from a depth of 6 feet. And as we proceed further downhill, we look at more damage done to roofs. This is Mr. Clark's residence. And we have houses that have been moved from their original position. Fruit trees, large trees blown down in the usual manner. And busy villagers working very hard to put things back in order. Good morning, Miss Walters. How are you? Great. Oh, great. Sure, you can come by me. Mr. Richards had a flooding problem. We have some wet bedding here, trying to get as much sunlight as possible so that it can be dried out. And our first house that has been blown down completely is right here on our left. No doubt it was a one-man shack. Huh? I don't understand why you came on either, but I could tell you it was fully charged early. 2.5 hours. All two lights on all the time. For the time I start the generator, all 2 lights on. And then, after about 2.5 hours, 1 light came off. And I was slipping the other one. And the other one was charging for about another hour and a half to 2 hours. And then the generator failed me with current. As I was running it. We thought back here.
You know we got damage down here, right?
Huh?
You realize we got... There's a toilet live.
Right there.
Okay. You have to go up then?
Yeah, we're in the front. You want us to go to the bottom, you mean?
No worries.
Go ahead. You ready? Located in the Hanley's Road area, and as usual, we have electricity poles with high tension wires lying on the ground, but fortunately, they're not alive. Well, the roof of Paulette Walters' house completely damaged, and she seemed to have had a flooding problem because her furniture is out on the driveway in an effort to get some sunshine to dry the water from the sponge and the chairs. We have loose galvanized over the street, loose wires over the street. We have the top of trees blown off. And we have a garage completely blown off here. The roof is completely blown off, or this house as well. We have Eston Tyson's residence almost in perfect shape, except for some damage to the undersection of the beef board. And as we get close to Winston Walker's residence, we have Mr. Winston Walker very busy nailing away, trying to put back his roof onto his house. And we have very large fruit trees uprooted. We have one house in the background with its wooden roof completely damaged. That house is beyond Winston Walker, who is presently on his roof nailing away. It's very difficult to get a close-up shot from a vantage point here. And this has been the pattern with us. It has been very difficult for us to get into some of the areas with our video camera. So what you're seeing is the mild damage to some of the areas. The major damage, the roads are not accessible to vehicles, and they're hardly accessible to pedestrians. You have to do a lot of cleaning with cutlasses and electrical saws to get to some of the areas where there has been severe damage. But we're just trying to give you a picture so you can understand just how much damage was done to Little Nevis by Hurricane Hugo. We're still on Hanley's Road and we're heading up the Hanley's Road. The pattern continues with electricity poles completely uprooted. And like we said earlier, these poles were planted 6 feet deep. We have another house here on our left that suffered severe damage to its roof. We have Shorty, a known carpenter, now trying to help out his neighbor. And we have all the electricity wires broken in this roof. It's going to take a lot of money to restore the electricity situation. And basically, it's going to take a lot of money to put back things to normal in Nevis. No doubt some of these persons might have had insurances, but then the unfortunate ones without insurance will have to bear the burden of the expenses. Good morning, Pastor. How are you, sir? Very well, sir. I see you're safe and sound, sir. With the grace of God. Very well, sir. We just passed the Wesleyan Holiness Church. Pastor seemed to be very happy. Everything is fine with his church and everything is fine with his residents. And surprisingly, some of the wooden tenements here in Hanley's Road Primary School, we are located on top of a neighbor's residence, and we see extensive damage done to the roof. Almost all of the galvanized have been ripped from the roof of the building. No doubt school will resume in a couple of weeks' time, as a lot of work will have to be done to restore the roof situation here. Presently we are located in a Hickman's area in Gingerland, and the pattern is the same. Electricity poles blown down, trees blown down, wooden tenements blown off their stones, and we have the roof of Mr. Charles Bosu's residence blown off from the front partition here. And we have some peeling done to the roof of Mr. Michael Duo's residence in the far left hand corner. We're approaching George Morris's residence, and there seems to have been extensive damage to the roof of the right hand section of his house here. We also noticed that there has been severe flooding in this area. The residents, most of them, have clothing spread out on the ground and out on wires trying to get some sunlight. We have some peeling again done to the roof of a newly constructed, very large 3-story building here. Once again across the road here by Mr. Wendell Huggins' residence. His cars seem to be intact. Minor damage to the galvanized on his roof. And we have one situation where a wooden tenement has been completely destroyed. There's the evidence of a green roof wooden tenement lying right here on the pasture side. A little guy and his dog are going for a walk, no doubt to do some observation, but he's accompanied with by his dog. The sea in the background of us seems to be very calm. The water is beginning to get back its light blue color after being the color of mud earlier. In front of us, the mountain is still very foggy. The mountain area, the trees look rather spacious, as most of the leaves have been blown from the trees. We have a few wooden shacks here on the right side of us, and they survived the storm and the hurricane pretty well. They're still standing tall. Again, there's evidence of fruit trees being destroyed, especially those tall coconut palm trees. And the leaves from most of the large trees have been blown off. This area, known as Hickman's, has a very small population. The damage in this area is minimal. We see one villager busy chopping away at stones with his hammer. He's probably in the construction area. Evidence of large trees being uprooted. And again, crops are destroyed. Banana trees, to be exact, in this area. They have been blown down. Wire fencing blown down. And like we said earlier, the pattern is similar in all parts of the island. Three main things to look for: electric poles, roofs of houses, and large trees being uprooted.